I shook hands with alien ambassador and she got pregnant. Now I'm a father. Sci-fi story. They told us the handshake was a formality. A ceremonial gesture between species. Don't worry, it's symbolic, said Commander Arlen, smiling nervously at me as the massive chamber doors creaked open. Of course, no one thought to ask what the gesture symbolized in their culture. The Creel had arrived 3 months ago in a vessel shaped like a spiraling seashell, suspended over the Indian Ocean. Humanity had prepared for a violent first contact, but instead, the ship hovered silently for 6 days before opening. From it emerged the Creel, tall, bioluminescent beings with delicate features and translucent skin that shimmered in ambient light. They didn't speak, not with mouths, but their thoughts slipped into your mind like a warm whisper. The media called them telepathic angels, but their eyes, something in them always seemed ancient, calculating. Their ambassador introduced herself as Veilze, and for reasons above my security clearance, she insisted on meeting a civilian to finalize the handshake of understanding. That civilian, for reasons also above my clearance, turned out to be me. Dr. Julian Rees, cultural anthropologist, recently fired adjunct professor, and part-time translator for the UN's Alien Relations Bureau. I stood in the reception chamber of the orbital UN complex, palms sweating despite the air conditioning. She was taller than I imagined, 7 feet maybe more. She wore no clothing, but her body was covered in glowing runes that pulsed with her breath. She tilted her head, regarding me like a particularly puzzling sculpture. Then she extended her hand. Took it. The moment our skin touched, my vision blurred. A rush of images hit me. Planets blooming with strange wildlife, star charts burning in gold, a library floating in a nebula, 1,000 names spoken in silence. Then her voice, real in my mind, said, "You are acceptable." The sensation ended in less than a second. I blinked. She released my hand. The room was silent. Veilze turned to the diplomats, inclined her head once and said, "The union is sealed. Peace is assured." Then she left. I didn't feel different, not at first. I even joked about it later with Commander Arlen. If I'm the galactic sperm donor, do I get child support? 2 weeks later the UN called me in. Veilze had requested me, exclusively, to come aboard the Creel ship. No one else. No cameras. No weapons. Not even a translator. I should have said no. The Creel ship was nothing like human architecture. There were no walls, only shifting membranes of organic light. The ship pulsed around me like a beating heart. Veilze appeared, her glow dimmer now, and she greeted me not with words, but with emotions. Recognition, satisfaction, and something else, anticipation. Then she said, "Come. You must meet her." Her. She led me into a chamber shaped like a lotus. In the center floated a cocoon, opaque and glistening. A soft glow pulsed within it. I didn't need to ask what it was. Veilze placed her hand over the cocoon and said softly, "Your genetic catalyst was potent. The child has formed. She is more." I staggered backward. "Wait, what do you mean, child?" We didn't. Veilze's lips curled in what might have been a smile. "The handshake was a bonding. Your DNA transferred during touch. We seeded compatibility. Fertilization occurred through quantum grafting. That's not how anything works. It is how we work." I stared at the cocoon. What do you expect from me? She will need guidance. She is of 2 worlds. Without understanding of both, she may collapse. I didn't answer. Couldn't. The next day, the UN barred me from speaking to the press. I was placed in isolation, monitored, for interspecies exposure. But every night I dreamed of that cocoon, of her. Sometimes I heard her voice, a voice that was mine and not mine, calling from the void. Then, 3 months later, they returned. The second Creel ship was larger, much larger, and it came straight for Earth orbit. No preamble, no ceremony. They demanded her release. What release? Asked stunned. She was moved, said Valze, appearing in my quarters via projected telepresence. Human leaders feared her. They took her to the lunar research base. They hid her from me. From us. My heart stopped. I didn't even know she'd been moved. I'll find her, I said without hesitation. Valze tilted her head again. You would go against your people. She's my daughter. For a moment silence. Then, very well. A day later, I was smuggled onto a Black Ops shuttle bound for Luna. With help from a sympathetic systems tech, an old friend from grad school, I infiltrated the lunar research facility. They had her in a containment field, surrounded by energy dampeners. But she was awake now. The cocoon had opened, and what emerged was, she looked human. Mostly. Her skin glowed faintly, especially near her temples. Her eyes had no whites, just pools of shifting violet. She sat calmly, staring at the walls. But as soon as I entered the room, she turned to me and whispered a single word. Father. Choke. I wasn't ready for the way my heart leapt. I'm here, I whispered. She tilted her head, just like her mother. I'm learning. Learning what? She touched her chest. Balance. Then the alarms began. The Creel had arrived on the moon. Chaos broke out. Lunar security scrambled, trying to prepare for a possible incursion. But there was no warship, no army. Just Valze. And a delegation of Creel elders. They teleported directly into the compound. They didn't speak to the guards. They walked through walls like mist. Valze entered the chamber where I stood, shielding the child with my body. She didn't stop me. She called you, she said. Yes. She is of us, but humanity is also within her. She is something new. I looked at the girl, my daughter. She watched us both, serene and curious. She deserves to choose who she wants to be. Valze nodded slowly. Then she must walk in both worlds. That was the moment everything changed. The Creel negotiated a new arrangement with Earth's governments. A joint upbringing. A shared education program. Custody split between Valze and me. We were relocated to a neutral orbital habitat built just outside Mars orbit, designed specifically to raise the hybrid child. Her name, decided by mutual agreement, was Luma. Luma grew fast, faster than any human child. By 6 months, she looked 6 years old. By her first Earth year, she appeared as a young teenager. But she never lost her calmness, her strange serenity. She spoke in poetry. She walked barefoot through zero-G gardens. She learned languages overnight. She asked me questions like, why do humans fear what is part of them? Or, do stars ever feel lonely? And she asked about her mother. Often. Valze visited through thought and projection, sometimes physically. She and I had an uneasy alliance, neither love nor resentment, but something deeper, mutual responsibility. Raising Luma was terrifying and beautiful. She could hear thoughts before they were spoken. She once reversed a power outage by touching the station core. When I asked how, she said, I asked the electrons to hurry. But the real turning point came when she turned 2, and the visions began. Luma started drawing. Not just with pens but with light. She created holographic sketches that pulsed and shifted, depicting alien worlds we'd never seen.